10.
A 14-year-old girl gets a flattering text message, but it's from a 41-year-old man.
Watch it go.
A man, it seems, who'll go to any lengths to stay out of jail. Hello and welcome to Crimewatch. Tonight, you can help us find who's behind the intimidation of that teenage girl. 40 detectives are here to take your calls.
But we start with a case that came to our attention via our own Detective Constable Jackie Hames. This is on your old patch, Jackie.
Yeah, look what happened when I left. Yeah, I worked on Operation Grafton at Heathrow Airport. Unfortunately, Heathrow, because of the high-value goods that go through there in transit, is a magnet for organised criminals, and we had the job of collating and trying to track down these organised criminals.
This is one of those cases. As Jackie says, the area itself is important. It's one of half a dozen big robberies within a 10-mile radius of Heathrow. In fact, since the summer, several gangs, drawing perhaps from a pool of up to 20 people, have been hijacking goods that have just come into the country. And the cost to businesses has now run into millions.
OK, so what we have here is a professional crime carried out by a professional team of criminals. This warehouse was unmarked and contained over £1 million worth of property. This team knew exactly what they needed to do and where to go in order to obtain that property. The warehouse we're talking about is located here, which is approximately 5 miles from Heathrow Airport.
We're a freight forwarding company. We receive consignments from the UK and all around the world. We inspect them, we pack them, and then we ship them out or deliver them.
Mike, truck to take.
We're a small company of about 12 employees. From time to time, we do have high-value goods, and we do ship them out in quite large quantities.
Well, it happened on the 12th of September, and on that night, this warehouse was the overnight home for a load of mobile phones and computer chips. It was a lot of property. We're talking about £1.2 million worth.
Have you seen my phone?
No. You'll probably find the lads have packed it away with all the others.
I'll have their balls for breakfast if they're playing games. Do you need a lift tonight?
No, I've got my car, thank you. Going over to Lauren's anyway today.
Yep. Have a good night.
Get him out! Put him in that bag! Come on! Get in there! Get in there! In! Sit down! Don't move! Give us the keys! Give us the keys! Do exactly what we say. Come on! And you'll still be alive for breakfast. The hand over! Come on! Hurry up!
I entered the wrong code, which immediately set the alarm off.
What's your plan? Enter the right code.
One of the guys must have known the alarm or the alarm systems because he immediately turned it off, which was quite surprising because I didn't even know how to turn the alarm off.
Come on! Throw it up! Oh, no. Can't do that again. I'll take you into the woods and I'll blow your head off.
The third time, I just put the right code in, but by that time, I would hope that it had gone through to the main call centre and they were alerted to the fact that there was a problem at our building.
Get over there. I'll throw up down there and don't move.
Hi, is that Barry?
Yeah.
I was just calling
to let you know our system's showing...
Your alarm's been tripped and reset twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
Well, I better go down there and take a look.
OK, then.
All right.
All right,
Yeah, no,
thanks a
cheers,
lot.
love.
Right, everyone have a look. See what you got. Let's take it outside. That's it. Don't worry about it. Come on, boys. Get in there, come on. Yeah, let's see some sparks fly. Get the cutter.
They came past me with the cutter to cut the steel vault, which was rather daft anyway, because they had the keys to get in through the door.
Get him tied up. We're in the vault, sorry, come on. We're in. Get into there. Yeah, that is more like it. Here you go. We're in the money. God, we're in the money.
They started to sing "We're in the money," which you couldn't make this sort of thing up.
That's it. We'll call someone in 5 minutes, all right? Let them know you're here.
Baz, get your backside down here. We've been done over.
I'm on my way, mate.
Mike, you all right? Oh, no, they shut it off with the van. Wait now, go round the other way.
Mike?
Hey?
You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm
sure?
fine. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah.
Come on. You called the police?
Yeah, they're on their way, mate.
What have they taken?
Everything.
One of the police called in was D.I. Joel Wotton. Crimewatch viewers often solve this sort of case because people talk. In this case, there seemed to be an awful lot of people who talked, as I said at the beginning, maybe 20 or more.
Yes, certainly. There's about 5 people in this team, and we believe that those 5 people were drawn from a wider team of anything up to 20 people. So we've potentially got those 20 people plus all their family, friends, etc., that we could, have called tonight.
If they're family or friends, Joel, why should they call in?
Well, in terms of those people in particular, there's a £50,000 reward for not this job, but for another job that's linked into the series, of which there are 6. And that's quite a good incentive for someone to call.
Well, you're implying that somebody did one job, might like to shop anonymously people on the other job in order to get the £50,000?
Well, £50,000 is a lot of money. In terms of beyond that, in terms of the other people that may know about this crime as well, the person, Mike, in this case, was not seriously injured or traumatised by what happened to him, but the next person may not be so lucky.
If somebody wants that reward, of course, they can always ring Crime Stoppers, 0800 555 111. There's a whole system there of remaining anonymous and getting the reward if somebody is arrested and convicted. They used a very distinctive car for people that didn't want to get caught. Why that?
Well, this car was very distinctive. It was a BMW M3 convertible colour black. We don't know what that car was, whether it was a stolen car or whether it was someone using their own car. And we'd be very interested to know where that car was prior to this offence or where it is now.
Now, you think that this theft was probably part of what's called a carousel fraud, a sort of great VAT fraud. So these goods will have moved from company to company to company.
Yeah, we believe that's the case in this particular offence. However, at the end of the line, there will be end users that will be offered these products for sale, particularly the mobile phones.
OK, well, that's where, in particular, you can help, even if you don't know who did the robbery. And if you know who did these robberies, any of us, please give us a call. But call us also if you know anything about Nokia 6680s going cheap. Just let us know. These are the boxes they come in. And as for the computer parts, well, half of them are still missing, but they are easily traceable, these things. The Intel Pentium P4s, and you will find their numbers on the Crimewatch website. And if you buy them by the case, well, check the white labels on the cartons. Again, those numbers are on our website, bbc.co.uk/crime. There's our studio number, and the incident room is on 020 8246 9972.
A man who came to Britain to escape the horrors of Kosovo has come face to face with a kind of violence he thought he'd left behind. When he turned away 3 drunk men from the Elbow Rooms nightclub in Islington, in North London, it seemed a routine part of the job. But after what happened, he may never work as a doorman again. The drunks were angry at being refused entry.
And they start like pushing us and bullying us with the words like, we are English, you bloody foreigners, how you can stop us going to the club, this is my area, and this and that.
They threw a sign at him and said they'd be back.
And they said, we're gonna come back for you and come and shoot you. You did, they said.
Sure enough, back they came. One fired several shots, 2 hitting the doorman in the back.
I spent like 3 weeks in intensive care. The doctor said to me, I know you are a big guy, he said, and I'm gonna speak to you straight. When you came that night here, he said, you are 99% dead.
Here's the gunman running down Chapel Market, still holding the revolver.
These people, they're still free on the street. They still got the gun, and they can do this anytime. I left Kosovo to save my life from the bullet, and I got the bullet here in London.
Well, D.I. Penny Banham, that doorman's very lucky to be alive, isn't he?
Absolutely. He was in hospital for 6 weeks, 3 of which were in intensive care.
And he's still got 2 bullets left inside him?
Yes, they were fragmented as they entered his body, so yes, still inside him.
You've got good CCTV of what happened. Yeah. Now, first of all, the altercation that kicked this all off, you had these 2 men, they were drunk, that's why they weren't let in. And you can see them quite clearly beforehand, can't you?
Yes, you can. I mean, the altercation happened when the doorman followed out the correct protocol, the door policy, and turned them away. And the 3 of them are involved in the altercation. The 3 of them are white males, all between mid-20s to mid-30s. And the one I want to pay particular attention to is the one he's got a shaved head, receding hairline, and he takes his T-shirt off, and he's the one who we believe to be the gunman.
They left. An hour and a half later, so what, about 9:45, 2, possibly 3 of them come back. And in this time, somehow, the gunman, he's changed his clothes and he's got hold of a revolver.
That's right. You can see quite clearly he's still holding the revolver. So in an hour and a half period, he's changed clothing, acquired the gun, and the clothing he comes back in is a grey hooded top with dark tracksuit bottoms with stripes down the side.
Well, obviously, the key thing is you want to know where he was in that hour and a half, where he went to get the revolver, where he went to change. Now, one indication of the area he might have gone to is immediately after the altercation, certainly one of them at least, tried to get into what he thought was a cab, didn't he?
Yeah, he jumped into a car and asked to be taken to Southgate Road, which is off New North Road and North 1. And that wasn't a cab, so I want to know, did he get another cab? And is there a cab driver watching who took him to a particular address near that area?
And then after the shooting, you've got excellent CCTV of the gunman legging it down Chapel Market. You can see the revolver clearly in his hand. So where did he go after that?
Yeah, he ran into White Lion Street, but the CCTV is very good. You can see his hoodie comes off. You can see his face quite clearly and his receding hairline. So you would think he went towards the Upper Street area.
OK, well, do you know who those men are? I mean, the CCTV is very clear. Where was the gunman in that hour and a half when he somehow got hold of a revolver, changed his clothes, and that revolver, incidentally, is still out there? Where is it? There's a reward being put forward by the club where all this happened. It's £5,000. Call us here in the studio or call the instant room on 020 8217 7381.
Let me now tell you about some progress, and there is some really strong progress to report. For a start, you remember Tony Ann Byfield, the 7-year-old who was shot dead with her father in his North London bedsit in late 2003. 2 months ago, we again asked for help, and as a direct result of that appeal, detectives found and arrested a man in Merseyside, and he has now been charged with both murders.
And we showed CCTV last month of 2 men suspected of stealing cash from a car park office and ticket machines in Newcastle. As a direct result of calls to Crimewatch, they've both been identified and one's already been arrested and charged.
You may remember the case of Daniel Moorcroft, who was found dead in a car park in Bolton 3 years ago. She was 21. She'd turned to prostitution, but her killer, who picked it up, dropped his asthma inhaler at the scene. After a painstaking inquiry in which over 2,000 members of the community volunteered DNA, a man was arrested and charged with her murder, and last month, Stuart Milstead was sentenced to life.
In November 2002, we featured the suspected murder of a missing woman, Tina Baker, from Chobham in Surrey. Police have now charged her husband, Martin Baker, with her murder. Tina's body, though, has never been found.
Now, a new appeal. The Metropolitan Police are looking for a man who is a real danger to prostitutes and maybe to other women too. He's already attacked one prostitute in Hackney in East London. That was in July. After agreeing a price, he took her to the back of a Jet petrol station in Downs Road in Hackney. Then he refused to wear a condom. He grabbed her by the throat and tried to rape her. Thankfully, he was disturbed with two women out walking a dog and he ran off. But the good news, we're pretty sure it's him who dropped several pictures of himself. Passport photos. This is DC Adrian Gallagher, who's now trying to find out who he is. And what do you know about him, Adrian?
Thank you, Nick. Well, the victim's told us that her attacker is in his late 20s to early 30s. He's of medium build and of average height. Very interesting is that he was wearing red trainers at the time of the attack.
Which are fairly unusual, aren't they?
Yes.
And that picture's pretty damn good, or those pictures, should I say.
Well, absolutely. The biggest lead we have is that we've got the man's picture. I just want people out there to look closely at the photograph. Do you recognise him? Maybe you work with him. Maybe he lives near you, or maybe he's a member of your family. Please pick up the phone and call us. I do need to speak to this man.
And you've got decent evidence, forensic evidence, if somebody rings in, it's the wrong person. Quite easy for you to eliminate.
Oh, absolutely. Please don't be frightened to pick up the phone. Any names we will take, we'll be able to investigate it, and through the forensic evidence, we'll be able to eliminate them from our inquiry.
Well, the picture's so good, you must get people calling in and saying who that is. Please do.
Yeah.
Ring us in the studio, or you can call the incident room on 020 7275 4070. If you prefer, you can text us from a mobile. The number's 83199. You just begin your text with the letters CW for Crimewatch, then the message.
Threats to witnesses in trials are becoming a bigger problem for our courts. And when those threats could benefit a suspected paedophile targeting schoolgirls, it takes guts to stand up to them. One 14-year-old girl and her mum found that courage, but they need your help too.
Turn to page 10. Have a look at question 5.
Last October, Emily began getting some very suggestive text messages.
Every 2 hours, 3 hours, I'd get a text from him. I'd text him back saying I had no credit, like this is my last 10p. And he'd ring me then. And so I just really couldn't get away from it. A few of my friends have described him as a really nice person. He's quite funny and easy to get along with.
What's your go?
What Emily didn't know was that one of those friends had sold her number for £50.
He offered to take me to Blackpool for a weekend and I could take all my friends with me and he'd pay for the rides, the drink, just the hotel and stuff like that. And he offered to take me clubbing. Then he got round to texting me sexual stuff and stuff like that. He started saying, like, asking me what I'd do and how much I'd do things for, and I just didn't like the sound of it.
Eventually, Emily felt she had to tell someone. Her mum was alarmed.
Well, my reaction was he was a dirty pervert. It was very frightening and very shocking. Our ordinary little family was involved in something so seedy.
Yep. I'm DC Thomas from Worcester CID. This is my colleague DC Colley. You're under arrest on suspicion of the grooming of a female under the age of 16 years.
The suspected paedophile was charged and a trial set for 9 months later. But Emily soon found a new threat at the school gates. She was now the victim of a smear campaign.
I got phone calls from around the area that the leaflets were being distributed. The next day the police handed me a leaflet and I just cried because it was disgusting.
It's all right. My daughter is a girl. Feeling all right today? Yeah. What the hell's this?
I started to get quite frightened, thinking, are people watching me? I then, I suppose, thought, well, what next? You know, is there going to be something else?
Hello, Mrs. Johnson. We're Worcester CID. We're here to have a quick word about the trial. Can we come in?
what's this all about then?
Keep still and be quiet. Quiet! I want to talk to you about Brian. He hasn't done anything wrong. All this trouble he's in is because of your daughter. If you don't do what we say, you won't see Emily again.
She wanted me to write a letter. The gist of it was that my daughter had lied.
She knew there was never any sexual intent on your part.
I can't write that.
Shut up! Sign. Now, I want you and Emily out of Worcester by September the 3rd. I don't want either of you turning up to that court. Do you understand?
Because if not, Emily will have an heroin needle sticking out her arm.
Don't even think about calling the police. Your phone is tapped, so we'll know the score. We know who you email. And remember, we're the nice ones, yeah?
I was so frightened. I've never been frightened like that before in my life. I just wanted to run away. I was going to do exactly as I was told.
Mother and daughter did leave home, but it was the police that helped them do it, under witness protection. Someone was in for a surprise. Emily would give evidence after all.
This is what we're now faced with.
When they ask you questions, OK, if you just take your time, OK, direct your answers to...
Will the defendant please stand? You are indicted with one count of sexual grooming. It is alleged that between November and December 2004, you did incite a girl under the age of 16 to engage with you in sexual activity. Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty. He's pleaded guilty.
It was a sense of relief. At least he would be convicted of at least something.
I'm always looking over my shoulder just in case somebody's still out to get us, because I don't know where those two people came from.
I can't see my friends anymore, and I have to leave everyone and everything that I know just over one man.
Well, dear Andy Price, what an ordeal this mother and her 14-year-old daughter have gone through. They've given up everything they know, they've left everything behind, because this pair frightened the life out of them, didn't they?
Absolutely. What you can't see in the reconstruction is that the lady was in there for 20 minutes, been threatened, her family had been threatened, she'd been assaulted,
And it took her 4 days, didn't it, to kind of pluck up the courage to tell you about it?
Yes, it did. She was absolutely petrified. She left that property. She's never been back to that house, nor of her family. Her children haven't said goodbye to their friends. They've had to just leave everything.
We've got fantastic CCTV of this pair because the mother, because of the campaign of intimidation, the slashing of the tyres, she put up a CCTV camera by the front door. So we've got a really, really good look at them, haven't we?
Absolutely. And I'm convinced that somebody will recognise those people. As you say, it's good CCTV. I just need one of the viewers to tell me who it is.
Yeah, I mean, you can see her, she's got the ponytail, he's got the baseball cap. I mean, someone is going to know who those people are, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Now, we said it was very violent, it was absolutely terrifying for this mother. I mean, we know that a lot of people, I think something like 47,000 people in the last year alone have come to victims' support saying they have been intimidated as well when they've wanted to bring evidence. I mean, this is a fantastic case of these two people having the courage really to stand up and to work with you and to get a conviction.
Yes, that's very true. They're very brave, very, very brave. And we'd encourage anybody to come forward. You know, please tell us if you've been intimidated. Going back to this case, we have got some DNA for this case. Whilst the struggle was going on, the lady bit that female offender. So if anybody's got any doubts about ringing in, about the identity of somebody, we can prove or disprove.
Exactly, you can eliminate them from your inquiry straight away.
Yes, we can.
And of course, the ordeal didn't end there. I mean, that's where we should have ended on the reconstruction. But then, after that unpleasant pair left, then the mother got a phone call, didn't she?
That's right. 10 minutes later, she receives a phone call from a third person, we believe, a male person, more threats, endorsing those threats, and basically saying, you know, they were the nice people.
Okay, well, call us here in the studio or call the incident room on 08457 444 888. Or you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously if you want to on 0800 555 111.
Later on Crime Watch, the jeweller who just wouldn't let a robber get away with it. What happened next is really hard to believe, but you'll see why this man has to be caught. First, though, a brazen double rape in front of CCTV cameras. When a woman arrived at Margate Station in Kent to catch a late-night train, she was pretty tired, she was leaning against a bench, and two men came onto the platform.
It felt like I woke up and he was on top of me and the other one was holding me. I couldn't get away from them because they were in the middle and I couldn't kick them because there was nothing to kick at because one was behind me and one was in the middle.
CCTV shows the victim arriving in the booking hall, then making her way to platform 1 and to that bench. Two men approach and rape her. They're both late teens or early 20s. This is the pair seen half an hour earlier at Ramsgate Station. After the rape at Margate, they ran from the station out towards the seafront.
Well, it's affected my whole family and it's affected my relationship with them. Well, they were so overprotective and I tried to take tablets, tried to kill myself. It's something that will live with me forever. These men need to be caught so it doesn't happen to anybody else and they deserve to be punished for what they did to me.
Well, this is D.I. Carl Skipiert, and not only have you got their pictures, you think you got names for them too.
I think we've got names, possibly the right people. We've done some media appeals locally, and some people think they recognise these two guys as Tom and Will, a couple of migrant workers from Eastern Europe.
Whereabouts from Eastern Europe? Do you know precisely?
Yeah, we believe they're from Lithuania.
Right, so they have Lithuanian passports or British passports?
They've got Lithuanian passports, and we believe they've been here a few months.
Right, I just asked that in case people watching work at the ports and the airports, and obviously look out for them. What are their names, their real names? Do you know the full names?
Yes, their real names are... Will is a gentleman by the name of Vitalius Kovaliovis, and Tom is someone called Thomas Bulbis. They're both about 21, 22 years old.
And we ought to say, Thomas and Vitalis, if you're watching and you're saying that this isn't us, for heaven's sake, give us a call straight away. But there must be a lot of people. I mean, good pictures, you got the names.
Yeah, and they've disappeared about 3 weeks ago. They used to live in Thanet.
What sort of jobs do they do?
They were cleaners at a local company in the Thanet area, just going around cleaning schools and sort of building sites and new...
Well, that's a pretty good clue. Casual jobs, these sort of guys might be coming to you for them. You might know who they are. Give us a call if you do in the studio here or the instant room on 020 7391 5275. And incidentally, if you've been the victim of a crime, perhaps you haven't even told the police, but you want to talk to somebody about it, you can always call victim support. They're on 0845 30 30 900. Now, Jackie has some CCTV of another rapist we need to find.
Take a look at this. We've got a driver who stopped at a service station on the A23 near Burgess Hill in Sussex to buy 2 Cokes for himself and a passenger, a woman he's just met and about to rape. DC Sian Griffiths is the detective on the case. Sian, on the outside, this guy seems a real charmer.
Yeah, this man approached a vulnerable and lonely woman in Queen's Park in Brighton. He chatted to her for quite some while, convinced her to go for a drink with him at his house. She was under the impression he lived in the local area. She went with him. He drove her to Crawley, where he raped her.
And what can you tell us about him?
Well, the woman was found distressed and wandering in the Broadfield area of Crawley, so we believe that that's where he lives.
And now he's, you can see him leaving the service station here. He's got the woman in the car outside, which he gets into. Now, this is possibly a silver Saab 9.3 convertible, yeah? We've got a picture of one here. We think it's possibly that, but it may be something else. But if you can match the man to the car, that would be really useful. Now, is the victim able to tell us anything at all about about him?
She does recall that he said he'd been for a job interview in the Brighton area on the day that it occurred. And she also mentioned that he'd said something about playing basketball, whether he was a coach or just played in a team. She wasn't sure.
Well, he's obviously got a lot of chatter. Those things may ring a bell with someone, together with the car and his face. So if you know who he is or where he lives, give us a call now here in the studio.
It's Friday night, the pubs are out and everyone's queuing for taxis. Most of us have been there, haven't we? So it was for Andrew Robb and David McElwain, two Northern Ireland lads. But their decision to stick together proved to be fatal. Two young men lie side by side in a cemetery in Portadown. Being together is what cost them their lives. Andrew Robb and David McElwain were both stabbed in the middle of the night, almost in the middle of nowhere. 5 years on, we don't know who did it or why. We do know the pair had no idea what they were letting themselves in for when they let their friends go ahead in a taxi.
This is not a bus. Only taking a 4. One's going to have to get out.
Davey, look, it's okay. We can get in our taxi, all right? Look, guys, I'll see us later, right?
That's the way it is.
From here, they went in search of a friend's house. A neighbour saw them in the close.
I'm not really sure where it is. I'm almost sure it's that one.
Well, you've been here before.
But I haven't been up here in a while. It's that has to be the lights are on. There's no. Busy girl. She'll let us in, will she? Aye, she'll let us in.
Hope so.
Sorry, lads, is Gemma in there?
Gemma? Next door, buddy.
Okay, thanks a million, lads. See you later.
All right, good luck. What's this Gemma like?
Gemma's like, sorry. Let us in on me there.
It's the middle of the night. You guys think I don't sleep?
Come on, Gemma.
Would you want to be here at home?
What's that?
Oh, I know me too well.
Well, where were you?
Just down the club there, so we're.
The lads decided to stay for a while.
I've been drinking all day, so we'll have.
Why were you here earlier?
We're a couple of parties earlier, and then we all went to the club.
After a quarter of an hour, the men from next door turned up.
Well, boys. You want to do one next door? You get the bed, Gemma.
He's not coming around, no?
No, I'm not.
Get the choirs and have to work again.
At around 2:30 a.m, a witness saw a taxi pull up outside with a man sitting behind the driver. I believe that Andrew and David got into that taxi, and as it drove off, others followed in a red Peugeot 205. It seems likely that a third car joined the convoy as they headed for the Drummondmuir Road.
A witness working late in the area heard a car with a very noisy exhaust. It was travelling towards the Drummondmuir Road.
I'm going for a piss.
They were horrifically, brutally murdered. Like, people have done this. There's blood on their hands, there's blood on their clothes. They came in with it, and people know, and the people that know should say.
At 4:30 a.m, after the murders took place, I have a witness who saw a red Peugeot 205 car parked up beside a phone box in Church Street, Tandragee, and I know there was no telephone calls made to or from that phone box, so I want to know who they are and why they were there. I've been a police officer for 18 years, and this was the worst crime scene I've ever attended. These young men were not just stabbed, they were practically decapitated. It's beyond comprehension, it was horrendous, and whoever did this has to be caught.
It's very hard to cope with. You know, it's something you'll never get over. Like, you go to bed at night and it's the last thing on your mind. You waken in the morning, it's the first thing on your mind.
Our lives are gone. The lives we had finished on the 19th of February 2000. They just ceased as they were. You know, we live different lives now, and we try to make the best of the life we have. If any one of the murderers came forward and asked me for forgiveness, I would forgive them. And I would have no trouble with that at all. But it's not my forgiveness they need to be asking. It's God's forgiveness.
Well, DCI Tim Hanley, you're leading this investigation, and looking at that reconstruction, you appear to have something of a head start on this investigation. You've got a taxi driver and a man who lived next door at the scene.
Well, there were a number of persons arrested and a large number of people were interviewed in relation to this inquiry. Now, certainly, at the time of the murders, there was a conspiracy of silence, but I'm sure that doesn't exist now.
Here we are, we're 5 years on now.
Yes, there are people out there who have intimate and detailed knowledge of what happened, and I really want them to ring in tonight or to contact the police.
It's worth saying right at the beginning that you are absolutely guaranteeing confidentiality for anyone who rings in.
If someone can show the moral courage to ring in or to contact the police, I can assure them, I can guarantee them confidentiality.
We can't trace any calls here to the studio, and anyone who rings you, rings the incident room, no one is going to know who they are.
That's correct.
You said in that reconstruction that the level of violence was horrendous. You'd never seen anything like this before. I mean, it's fair to say, isn't it? It was almost psychotic.
I have to agree. If you look at the degree of violence and the nature of the injuries, whoever carried this out, it was psychotic, and they have to be caught.
He or they would have been covered in blood, presumably, after something like this.
They would have been saturated in blood, and they went somewhere to clean up, possibly to dispose of the knives, possibly to dispose of clothing. There's someone out there who knows where that clean-up house was, and I need them to contact the police.
Now, someone who's capable of showing that explosive level of violence, pretty unlikely that they go around meek and mild-mannered in the rest of their lives. I mean, someone is going to know this person or these persons for that facet of their personality, for that violence in their personality, aren't they?
Well, I've no doubt that that violence would manifest itself in any relationship they've been in since the murders, so I'll be very keen to contact former spouses or partners and speak with them.
There were others at the scene there that you're also keen to trace.
There are others at the scene, and there's a large circle of knowledge as to what happened. And as I say, we need them to show the moral courage to ring in tonight or to reflect on it for a day or two and to contact the police.
And that's it. I mean, it's worth saying, is it? Because people may not feel after 5 years they're going to call tonight, but it may be once they've thought about it for a few days, they might want to pick up the phone and get through to you. Again, if this person is as violent as he looks, they might be frightened about calling for very understandable reasons, but no one is going to know who they are.
No one's going to know, and sometimes that passage of time can help the inquiry. You know, relationships break up, allegiances change, and people move away from the area. And it's those people that have that knowledge that I want to contact Crimewatch tonight or the police.
Okay, Tim, thanks very much. There is, incidentally, a £10,000 reward. Call us here in the studio. We can trace no calls that come into the studio, not one. Or call the incident room direct on 0208 37 517 390. And now DC Rav Wilding has some criminals caught on camera on this side of the water.
Yep, we've got 5 blokes lined up, but can you help us find them? July 7, the day of the terrorist bombings in London. Another train traveller's about to have his life changed, and by this bloke on the Clapham to Waterloo service. After some words with a passenger, he kicks him to the floor and in the face. He can't leave it at that, and keeps going back to kick and punch some more. Even though the victim was able to walk off the train, he's lost most of his sight in one eye. All because this guy lost the plot. Tell us who he is. Look out for 2 lads who have gone suited and booted for a smash and grab. One parks the white Maestro van. His mate breaks and enters.
It's an electrical shop in Sidmouth. They're after big screen plasma tellies. They take 5 of them. Maybe they're watching this on one of them. If you've seen these 2 off screen, tell us who they are. Have a good look at this thief. He's coming into this Lloyd's TSB in Norfolk to steal cash using a stolen passport. He's already walked into banks in Watton, Wymondham and Attleborough and stolen £27,000 using a false identity. So what's his? Actions speak louder than words, but a few words from this crook in the cap are enough to terrify a cashier. He says he's got something in his bag and that he wants cash from the till and safe. When a customer comes in, the thief goes behind the counter and makes the cashier get rid of him. He then takes 2 bottles of vodka and he's off. He's careful to wipe his prints, but we have him on camera. Who is he?
If you have any information on that quintet, give us a call here in the studio.
Maxine Bindi from Fleetwood in Lancashire is just 13. She should be at home with her mum and her 2 brothers. But it's a month to the day since they last saw her, and she's thought to be with a 37-year-old, a Londoner, Alan Thomas Keegan. He is, in fact, the ex-boyfriend of Maxine's mum. Now, Maxine, let me remind you, is just 13. We think they were last seen at a bed and breakfast in Blackpool about a month ago. And here's Martin Clegg, the DI who's now looking for her, and Bridget, Maxine's mum. Now, what are the chances of Maxine herself watching this programme tonight?
Well, she usually watches this programme.
Really?
Every month, yes.
So she might well be watching now. If so, what do you want to say to her?
Well, that we love her, and our brother Jordan is really missing her, and so is her older brother, but more Jordan because they were close. I just want her to come home. She's not in any trouble at all. I don't care about the money, as long as she's safe and well.
She took some money with her, did she?
Yeah, she took 145, and that's not like Maxine, so I'm not worried about the money.
Actually, she's never been in trouble. She's a regular attender at school. I mean,
Yes.
everybody says good things about her.
Yep, she's not one of these that gets into trouble. Like, she doesn't go out at night. She's always in.
And what about her school friends? They're asking about her? and-
Yeah, they are. They're missing her. They want her to come back to school, you know, and...
Martin, this appears to have been quite carefully planned. I mean, there's a lot of internet exchanges between the 2 of them.
Yes, there has been. Prior to Maxine actually going missing, we know Alan Keegan has communicated with her, and it would appear that this disappearance has been planned.
They're a very distinctive couple, because she's quite small, and she's, what, 5'2", I think? And he's a big, big boy. He's what is he, nearly 6 foot and something like 18 stone?
He's described as 5'10" tall and 18 stone in weight. So together they should stick out quite well.
Have you any idea where they are? We know they've been staying at bed and breakfast, or are they camping out, or what? They're obviously trying to stay out of the limelight.
Well, we do know that they have stayed in bed and breakfast and guest house accommodation in Blackpool approximately a month ago. Where they are currently, we're not entirely sure, but we do believe they are in the UK.
Now, Maxine's only 13. She can't bring an adult mind to this. He knows he's going to get caught. He knows this can't go on forever. He must do.
He should do, yes. And my message to Alan Keegan is this must stop. This situation has to stop now. And you have to contact the police as soon as possible and return Maxine safely to her home.
And if Maxine's finding it difficult to get away from him and she'd like to call home, she'd like to call you, how can she do that?
Well, again, we implore to Maxine to make contact with her family, either by ringing home or ringing 999 or dropping into the nearest local police station or letting the facts be known to the right authorities.
What are you going to say to her? She hasn't seen that she's got lots of puppies, I gather, at home since she left.
I've got 10 puppies.
What are you going to say when she rings?
If she rings me, I'll tell her, is she all right? I love her. And come home, that there's a new additions to the family. You know, 10 of them, because they're 3 weeks old, so she doesn't know they're even born.
Maxine, just let me repeat, you really are not in trouble. Obviously, if this goes on, bad things could happen to you. Please, please get in touch with us. Alan, you know it can't go on. Get in touch with us too. You can call us here in the studio, or you can call the Instant Room on 01253 60 70 80. Now here's Jackie with another man that police are rather keen to find.
Yes, take a look at this guy walking into the Holiday Inn at Brent Cross in London. He looks like a businessman, and a Swiss businessman is what he claims to be. But Detective Constable John Corkett's on his case. John, what's he up to?
He's in fact a con man, Jackie, and this is a property scam. He's here today to meet the victims of the offence, and he's going to do an exchange of money with them.
And if it's that simple, what's the actual con?
He is purporting to exchange with them approximately £60,000 in sterling, and they're going to give him £40,000 in euros as part of a deposit.
Now, we've seen him here in the car park. The victim is actually chased after him into the car park. You can see the victim on the right there. They swap briefcases, but the deal doesn't add up because what happens next?
The victim's just discovered that the briefcase he was given contains nothing more than newspaper and magazines. This is in fact the culmination of 5 months of grooming by the suspect to the victims, whereby they've held proper business meetings, he's wined and dined them, and he's in fact done legitimate money exchanges before.
Yeah. He actually gives him a second briefcase, doesn't he, from his car? What's in that?
Well, he does indeed, but and indeed that contains £50 notes. Unfortunately, they're all photocopy forgeries.
Very cool customer, isn't he? He's got a silver French registered S500 Mercedes. The registration is 2705 YV93. Do we know anything else about him, John?
Yes, we do. He's 35 years old. He claims to live in Ilford in Essex. He's claiming benefit there, but in fact doesn't live there. We know that he scours the internet property pages for his victims, and we believe that he has an apartment in northeast Paris.
So, Daniel Milic, or Swiss Danny, or have you been conned by him? Do you know him? Please give us a call here in the studio.
I gather, forgive me, there was a technical problem earlier and a phone call, or at least part of a phone call, could be overheard. We've now solved that. I want to thank viewers who called in and alerted us. Let me tell you that has now been solved. I can also tell you that a man has just been arrested. I can't tell you on which case. We'll tell you more about that later on. I can tell you also it is very much a Crimewatch first. Now, they say that mobile phones can save your life. Well, this one did a pretty good job for its owner. Its owner was a jeweller who decided to take on an armed robber.
Horsham in West Sussex. Famous for its twittens, narrow alleyways that weave through the town centre. Not the best place, though, to run into a man with a gun. Piries Place, one of the shopping areas in Horsham town centre. In there is Amore Jewellers, a small upmarket shop that's been there for several years.
Been in the jewellery trade since I was about 16. Started sort of as a Saturday boy, just doing cleaning the windows, jewellery, watch repairs. Just really love the trade because you can get really sort of personal with people. We're buying important gifts for each other, but also special emotional presents and items such as engagement rings and wedding bands.
Okay. Well, these are our most popular rings we got here. The gold and the platinum, obviously. Anything take your fancy?
It was a very normal day, not overly busy, normal midweek day, people popping in and out, people walking past, looking in the window, just the normal running of the shop.
Right, I'll just start with the clearing up out the back. All right. I'm just going to finish on the computer, yeah? All right.
Open the cabinet. Get the cabinet open! Open it! Get a move on!
Okay.
Hurry up, mate! Hurry up!
I'm doing it. Yeah, a robbery. A jeweller's. Amore Jewellers.
You, out here now.
All right.
All right, you got 10 seconds to open the cabinet. I'm gonna shoot in the leg. 10, 9, 8, 7.
It's open. There you go. It's open.
the police.
When he first let the shot off, I continued to chase because I thought he was right at a point of getting into a vehicle and I'd be able to say what direction he went in. I heard the gunshot fire and felt the impact in my side. I sort of looked down and was looking for blood because I, realised that I had had something, and there wasn't any there, and that at that point confused me quite a lot of what had actually happened. I then pulled the mobile phone out and realised that it had hit the mobile phone.
Had he not had that phone, then it's likely that bullet would have actually hit Darren. Therefore, this is a serious investigation, and we're actually treating it as an attempted murder. This is where Pump Alley comes out onto this road. This is Den Road, and we know from CCTV that the man ran down here. What we don't know is where he went from there. Did he get into a car or did he stay on foot? And that's what we need people to tell us. It was obvious from the start that this man had gone to great lengths to conceal his identity. So we decided that the best way to try and find out who he was to find out when and where he'd been in Horsham before, how he had planned for this to actually take place. So we actually made a decision to go through all of the CCTV, both for the town centre and for the shops. And from that, we've actually identified the man that we believe is responsible.
And this is the phone that he hit, and you can see how the battery has absorbed the impact. But actually the rest of the phone is undamaged, and Joe, this obviously wasn't a very high velocity bullet.
No, we actually know that it was a modified bullet, so it was a modified blank. So somebody has specifically changed a blank bullet into a live firing round.
Meaning to hurt him or meaning not to hurt him?
Well, he would never have known when the actual the gun was shot, he would never have known the damage that would have caused through that.
Now, actually, the way he was shot, had this not been in the way, it could have penetrated, would have gone into, or presumably onto his liver or something like that.
I mean, certainly if the phone wasn't there, it could well have actually hit Darren and actually gone into him.
Now, all that trawling you did through the CCTV of the town centre, you've really come up with some pretty good stuff. Take us through what you've got, because pretty identifiable guy and perhaps an accomplice. There's the main man.
There's him there. This is about 2 hours before the robbery, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You actually see him walking up and down Perry's Place, and you actually see him looking into the jeweller's shop and spending some time actually walking past the windows. You can see the second male there. He's walking down. Although they're not together here, they are later on when they're walking around the town.
And that guy had this bag distinctively across his shoulder. There he is again, walking together.
Yes, I mean, they walk back up here together and they both spend a considerable amount of time looking into the shop window.
So you've got some pretty good video and you've managed to get some pretty good stills as well. Let's take a look at those and tell us what you know. This is the guy you think is the robber.
This is the man.
Quite tall.
He is. We think he's at least 6 foot in height, and he's of a slim build.
And he's mixed race, is he? It's hard to tell from that.
It is hard to tell from there. We think he's either mixed race or a black male.
And the other guy who looks shorter than him, dark hair, looks white.
We think he's about an average height, about 5'8".
Well, call us here in the studio if you know who they are, or call the instant room on 0845 60 70 999. Now, Jackie and Rav, they've got some more wanted faces for you to look at.
Yeah, the first is Dennis Arif. Customs officers broke up a major drugs deal 3 years ago, and Arif was charged with supplying 10 kilos of heroin worth £600,000. He's been on the run since he jumped bail in February last year. He's likely to be somewhere in London or Essex.
And we're concerned tonight about John Murrell and the whereabouts of his wife and 3 children. There are 2 boys and 1 girl aged 5 to 8, but they and their mum Catherine haven't been seen since April 2003. Murrell's a convicted sex offender and he hasn't signed the register for 5 years. The family may still be in the Worcester area, but there have been sightings in Belfast and Blackpool.
Martin Robert Lee jumped bail on a GBH charge a year ago. He's suspected of breaking a man's leg with a baseball bat. He's stocky, blue-eyed, around 5'6". He has strong links to Wisbech in Cambridgeshire, but we know he also travels to Thailand.
And Sukhdeep Chinna is wanted on suspicion of stabbing his flatmate to death 6 weeks ago at their home in Belvedere in Kent. Chinna fled the house without his wallet, phone or even his shoes. He has links in the Sikh community in Southall, Gravesend and Dartford. We have a Punjabi-speaking officer here in the studio, and there's a £10,000 reward for information leading to his arrest.
There's been a spate of distraction burglaries in South London due to one Deacon Walker. He's a serial thief who cons his way into the homes of the elderly and steals their money and property. If you can help with any of those faces, please call us here in the studio.
Any Harry Potter fans alarmed this week at reports that the famous flying Ford Anglia had been stolen in Cornwall can relax if you're not relaxed already, because if you haven't heard, the car taken was in fact an undrivable, rusty old Anglia that has never been here near any of the Harry Potter films.
But a celebrity vehicle has been stolen from outside Ron Dawes' house in Rainham in Kent, and what a beauty it is. It's a lovingly made, fully working scale model of a 1950s Burrell steam engine. It's so famous, even the Duke of Edinburgh's had a ride on it.
The steam engine was actually secured to the floor of Ron's car in his drive before the thieves, I say thieves because there had to be more than one of them to lift the thing, broke in and took it. And Ron's now worried it's going to be heading for an antique dealer's probably abroad. Please help him find us. If you know anything about it, bring us in the studio.
We've had lots of really good calls tonight, so thanks for everyone that's called in, because obviously Crimewatch is nothing without you guys. I'll tell you first about the response we've had over that Hackney attempted rape, where the offender actually dropped those photos at the scene. We've had several calls come in saying not only who that person is, but where he might be working now. We've also had a name put forward for that gunman who shot the doorman in Islington, which is very encouraging. And a name and address has been put forward for that female intimidator in that shocking witness intimidation. I personally am really pleased with that, because that's such a brave mother and daughter, what they had to put through, and they actually went through to the court trial where the guy was actually found guilty, so I'm really pleased with that. Like I say, please do give us a call if you know anything about any of these cases. Just because we're coming to a close doesn't mean the lines are. They're very much still open, and we'll have more for you in the update programme later on tonight.
And of course you can find the details of all tonight's cases on our website, which is bbc.co.uk/crime. And our phone lines, well, as you've heard, they're open till midnight tonight, and they're always open on the next day, so look, you can call in from 7:30 in the morning tomorrow until midnight.
We're back after the news, of course, with Crimewatch Update at 10:40, later in Wales. Join us if you can. Crimewatch next month is on Tuesday, 13th of December.
See you then. Hope to see you later. Whatever happens, don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. For now, good night.
Good night.
And what Fiona didn't mention is that here in Northern Ireland you can see the Crimewatch UK update at 11:30. That follows a God-given gift at 10:40, the story of a Portadown teenager's dream to enter the Royal Ballet School.